This video, is all about villains in films, which I want to talk about for a bit. There's been lately, I would say, in recent years, actually over a generation, there's been certainly one major villain in cinema. But just for a few moments, I'd like to talk about the biggest few villains in cinema, which I think have just lasted the test of time, without a doubt. This is no descending order or anything, but one of the villains, one of the great cinema villains, who has really lasted years, has been Khan from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, played brilliantly by Ricardo Montalban. It's the greatest Star Trek film they did, of course, and it was really, a masterpiece. It was science fiction film, a great science fiction film in its own right, really. Of course, it's part of a series, but the rest of them were pretty questionable. And there's really only a few decent Star Trek films out there anyway, but without a doubt, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is the greatest one there ever was. And it's mostly because of the great villain. Khan, it was Kirk versus Khan. It was a brilliant match. Of course, the two never meet in the film. They only ever see each other on the screen. And it is just basically a brilliant battle between the two of them. Khan is, of course, out for vengeance, and he is a brilliant villain because he's smart, he's very strong, he's just as strong and as smart as Kirk is. He is certainly his equal. In some ways, possibly even stronger, even better. But Khan is certainly one of the great cinema villains, and he's lasted all this time. I mean, Star Trek. I mean, I've got it on Blu-ray, here, and it was made. I mean, it looks like a new film on Blu-ray there, and yet it was made in 1982. I mean, we are talking like 30 years old here, and Khan still stands up now as one of the cinema's greatest villains, and it really has stood the test of time all the way up until now. You know, it's still it's a pretty nasty film in places. I mean, there are some horror scenes in there, really, because of course I've seen it recently, and a few of the scenes are really quite nasty. And and Khan is a very powerful villain, and you hate him, but you understand him. But he is certainly one of the great villains of all time in cinema, that's for sure. Another one is more recent. He was the villain from The Dark Knight, the Joker. Heath Ledger's brilliant Joker. I saw that film. I'll be brief about this. I was not much of a fan of Batman, The Dark Knight and all that stuff. You know, I wasn't really much of a fan of the character. But then, after, just recently, a few years back, former housemate of mine introduced me to it, told me all about him, the history and all that. He's really, I didn't think he was a superhero because he had no powers or anything, but what he made up for that, he made up for not having superpowers or anything, with his mind, with intellect, and with science and technology. The brain is a great weapon, and so what he lacked in superpowers, he more than made up for with science and technology. And of course, he was a billionaire, so he had the money as well. And I understood that. I thought, yeah, fair enough then, superhero he is, I accept that. And well, I saw Batman Begins courtesy of a friend's recommendation, a best friend's recommendation, and I was just blown away by the psychology. I just thought it was amazing. And then The Dark Knight comes along, and Heath Ledger's Joker I mean, well, what can you say? Great shame what happened to Heath Ledger after that, yes. But there's no denying that what he left behind was, well, he succeeded in creating one of the greatest three villains in cinema history, no doubt about it. The Joker, and I love the fact he doesn't get killed at the end either. You know, of course, in real life, unfortunately, that's the irony of it. In real life, the actor who played him did pass away. Very sad and untimely death, but that's just unfortunate. But what he left behind, again, wow. You know, the Joker, I was just completely... It's no wonder it had such an amazing feedback. You know, I mean, everyone was talking about it. I just thought, you know, I've got to see this. You know, I mean, it just sounds amazing. And when I saw it, I was not disappointed at all. I just thought, well, it's no wonder people have been making such a fuss about that. It was amazing, and the box office grosses shocked me as well. I think it grossed around $1,000 million, possibly because of Heath Ledger's untimely demise. But yeah, well, Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight, amazing villain, third greatest villain in his cinema history as far as I'm concerned. Which of course brings me to the greatest cinema villain. This won't come as any surprise, I suppose, but over time, I think he stood the test of time, and he's still the greatest villain now. I don't think he's still been beaten. Lord Darth Vader. Of course, you know. And I'm not just saying that because Star Wars has been around so long. Yes, it has been around a very long time, but I still think that Darth Vader, as a villain, because he's a tragic fallen hero, that's basically what it is. He's a good guy who turned bad. He made a terrible decision. He only wanted to save his wife from childbirth. He just wanted to save her life, and he ends up doing what he did, and he turned to the dark side. Just a tragic hero who falls, basically. But Darth Vader, yes, I still think he is still the cinema's greatest villain. And you see well into his heart of darkness in The Empire Strikes Back, the amazing episode 5. But yeah, after all this time, I still think he stands up there at the very top. But the other two villains, Khan from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and the Joker, Heath Ledger's amazing Joker, you just never knew what that guy was going to do next. And he was hypnotic. Yeah, I mean, he was mesmerising, but diabolical at the same time. And he was just brilliant. But he still doesn't quite beat Darth Vader for me. But yeah, the greatest villains in cinema history as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, they haven't been... There's not many others apart from that. There's a few other great bad guys, but those three for me I think are tops. Closely now followed by possibly a fourth. Kylo Ren from Star Wars Episode 7. What a great new villain he is for Star Wars. Darth Vader was a tough act to follow. I think Kylo Ren is pretty close to doing that. Funny thing is, of course, as we now know, he's Lord Darth Vader's grandson. So the dark legacy continues, I guess. So there you go. But thinking about villains is, though, I don't think there's been that many great female villains. I'll check back on that sometime, maybe. Still not too sure about that, but I don't think there have been. But yeah, the three greatest villains for me in cinema history, yeah, Lord Darth Vader, Khan, and the Joker. So yeah, I think they are certainly villains that have stood the test of time all this time. So most impressive. Thanks very much from me. That's all for now. See you later. Bye.